In the previous episode, well, I made my hard choice. Jackson was a jerk, and Harry had arranged an unforgettable date for me. However, Jackson promised to take revenge. Hi everyone, my name's Emma, and be sure to check out the previous episodes if you missed them. And I have ahead of me what I usually don't do: restoration of justice and punishment of offenders. Want to see it? Watch this episode to the end. That'll be interesting. Of course, the threats from Jackson were no more than words, but I was still worried. I didn't want to get in trouble because of this popinjay. However, I didn't have much time, for an incomprehensible story with Harry and his grades turned our whole club upside down. We even wrote letters to the city mayor's office and the headmaster to allow Harry to make up the tests and improve all the terrible grades. Meanwhile, Jackson was constantly somewhere near me and regularly tried to piss me off with his insults. What's worst of all, the girls, Chloe and Danny, succumbed to these cheap tricks and threw themselves at my defense. The whole class laughed about it, and the twins got into trouble. One day, someone would ruin their things in their lockers. Another day, the shoelaces of their shoes appeared to be tied together. And still another day, someone would smear their bench in the dining room with something sticky. So I was torn between attempts to calm the twins, yet I had no plans to make them victims. It would have damaged my plans, and attempts to figure out what the hell was going on with my boyfriend's grades. Nobody, not even teachers, believed that Harry was suddenly that stupid. And it meant that, but I had no idea what it meant. How did perfect tests from Harry's perfect head turn into junk in the teacher's desk? Magic? I suspected that someone was purposely falsifying the tests. But without proof, I had nothing. I even learned to enjoy fighting with Jackson being in a stress mode. I loved to trash talk him in front of everyone. It was even kind of comforting, especially when he reached a point and started going nuts on everything that moved, spraying everyone with his spit. All of a sudden, the answer to the question, what is going on, was given by the twins. I almost forgot about them because of all these troubles. I just kept track of them, so that they were not finally taken down, but I didn't really expect that from them. Chloe and Danny caught me at home and pushed me to the wall. Out of habit, I wanted to get away from them, but those mysterious faces. You remember that these two couldn't keep secrets. So, some secret definitely appeared in their heads, and they just couldn't keep it. I decided to stay and listen to them. My sisters told me they knew that I wanted to help Harry with his grades, and they also knew who exactly prevented Harry from learning well and how he did it. Well, the natural lucklessness of the twins this time helped me a lot. Ironically, it was our common enemy who made the girls witnesses of his crimes. They stayed in the class to collect their things under the desk. As it used to be, someone, think Jackson, cut the handles of their bags just for fun. The bags broke when the girls got up from their desks, and all small things rolled up under the desks. In fact, that's why they weren't noticed by our mysterious enemy. But the girls watched Jackson sneaking into the teacher's desk and changing the tests blatantly. Or rather, not the tests themselves, but only the cover pages printed from the computer, with the names of those who did these tests. That's the answer to these questions. How and why? To be honest, I wouldn't even think that this selfish guy would do dirt on us with his own hands. Well, he doesn't seem to be brave and determined. Rather, as we've already seen, the one who preferred to use someone as a cat's paw. So, it was a real surprise. It was his sweet revenge. Well, I thought he'd take revenge on me, for I dared not to choose him. But this Twilight genius decided to frame Harry. So it happened that Harry was taking his tests as usual, but Jackson was changing the names on them and claiming Harry's work as his own. As a result, he received excellent himself, and Harry got his D, which was given out of pity. I should laugh, or just tell Harry and let him fix everything himself. It would be right and logical. I always do like this. But this time, I felt differently. It should seem that I don't care. It's not me who was set up in such a simple and stupid way. However, something inside me shouted in a very strong language that I just had to put the idiot in his place. And contrary to logic, I obeyed these shouts. At a glance, I thought that Harry was clearly ruining me. I would never jump into a risky project offending someone before, and now I almost ran to save him, even without a correct and beautiful legend, like a loving fool. I had to watch our mysterious but stupid villain for a while, and then, when Jackson changed the tests next time, and not just some test, but the final ones for the semester, it was I who sneaked into the teacher's desk and restored justice. And then, just out of the kindness of my heart, I replaced Jackson's disgusting work with an even more disgusting one. Of course, it couldn't be any worse, but that allegedly, accidentally forgotten, crib sheet between the sheets of test. A big boom was waiting for Jackson, taking into account the fact that the crib sheet is an immediate expulsion with the most disgusting reputation. We all had a chance to have some fun when the tests would be checked. And it happened so. The representatives of the school office shouted so loudly that the walls were shaking. Such a shame. He was a step away from being a graduate, and not only does he crib, he also somehow forgets his crib sheet in his test. Jackson was called to different offices, and there were investigations and scandals. His parents waved their wallets as a victory banner, but still, he managed to avoid expulsion. The test, though with a crib sheet, was written in the most disgusting way. So, the boy didn't crib it. If he cheated, maybe someone clever thought it would appear in his work. And Harry got his highest grade, and finally ceased to look like a ghost. I was happy for him. We even celebrated this event in a small circle of our club. He didn't know what exactly happened, but anyway he guessed that I was involved in it somehow, because at first he smiled at me for a long time, and then he said, "Thank you," but in a way that no one could hear. And then I got the picture. I sat at home on the bed, with a stupid smile on my face and kissed lips, and I felt like I was hit on the head with something heavy. Damn, I had no idea why I got involved in this story. Really? Breaking into a teacher's desk to save a loved one? Isn't that nonsense? Since when do I care about other people? I even fell out of reality for a while from that shock that I felt for myself, and it was my fatal mistake. I missed the real danger when I returned to myself, because all of this stuff about revenge and restoration of justice, I just forgot that I was a victim myself. I suffered from teachers' arbitrary will at a French lesson. For my own test was crossed out by a red pen with a note that I didn't sufficiently cover the topic. Me? Not sufficiently? The teacher was definitely picking on me. She didn't even try to hide the fact that she didn't like me, except that before the insults from her didn't go beyond words, and it didn't matter much. A teacher scolded me at the lesson. Well, maybe she would feel better after that. So what? But I couldn't let her underestimate the grades, which were deserved, and exceptionally positive. I was sure about that. I had to take revenge on the teacher, and the easiest thing to do was to do it in class, in front of everyone, so that no one would suspect me in the crowd. The only thing was, as always, the skill of breaking in helped me. I decided that if the teacher played dirty, I would be hatefulness personified, and on a salary day. It was necessary to do my best, so that nobody would notice me. I sneaked into the math class and pulled out an envelope with money from the teacher's bag. And then, even more secretly, just like a shadow, I climbed into the French class and threw the money to my unloved teacher. The funny thing was that the money would definitely have been found. At least the teacher would have given herself up in case of running to the school office with extra money, but even this wasn't necessary. On leaving school, when the math teacher had already managed to raise a panic about the loss of salary, the French teacher's bag squeaked. There are gates in front of our school entrance, like those in stores. As the school office claims, they're installed for prevention of terrorist attacks. But in fact, they often squeak like this, and each time the guards check everything to find a keychain, lighter, or metal rivets on someone's pants. But once it rings, you should check it. And the teacher's bag was shaken out for suspicious things. And, of course, they found the extra envelope with the math teacher's salary. There was a global scandal. Everybody was arguing with everybody. The French teacher was shouting that it wasn't her fault. The math teacher was wailing that he didn't understand what was going on in this school. As a result, the French teacher was fired without much ado, and she was replaced by another teacher. It felt good. The substitute teacher turned out to be a blasé person, and gave excellent to everyone who could put at least 2 words together. My report card improved, Harry became the best pupil again, and life was getting better. Exactly until that bastard, Jackson, appeared in front of my house and offered to take a walk. When I asked him the logical question of why the hell I should walk with him, he just waved his phone and said he had an interesting video. The video, shot from around the corner, in a very lousy quality, clearly showed me throwing an envelope and a small piece of foil into the French teacher's bag. The air clearly smelled of failure, expulsion, and a return to the boarding school. Jackson said that I had to obey him in everything. Well, to keep this video under wraps, I agreed to play his game. Subscribe to the channel not to miss a continuation of the story. Be sure to press the bell icon. This is how you can know what happens next.